This time on movie reviews, we're going to be looking at Yesterday. Yesterday was directed by Danny Boyle and stars Himesh Patel and Lily James, and follows the story of a man who is down on his luck and a failed singer and songwriter, and one night the entire world goes dark, and the next day nobody remembers who the Beatles are except for Himesh Patel's character, and so he takes their songs and passes them off as his own and becomes a successful singer. Guys, I was really excited to see this film. I thought the trailers looked like a lot of fun. I loved the premise of the film, and the fact that Danny Boyle was directing it really got me really interested in what this film would be. And even though that the reviews for this film have been mixed to positive, I went in just wondering what I was going to think and wasn't thinking about those reviews at all, and I came out of this movie pleasantly surprised. First off, I want to start with my two biggest positives of this film, and that is Himesh Patel and Lily James's performances. They are fantastic in this movie, and not only are the actors really good, but I love the characters in this film that they play. Himesh Patel is an actor I have never seen before, but he does an excellent job playing this character who is really down on his luck. Nobody really appreciates him except for Lily James and a bunch of his friends. And really, he is a likable character, and he just gives such a great performance in this film. I loved Himesh Patel in this film, and I really hope I see more of him in the future. Now, other than him, Lily James is fantastic in this movie. Anytime she is in a movie, I'm excited. I love Lily James to death. She is a fantastic young actress, and she is excellent in this film, and just really good. I love the character, and I love the actress, and they just go together so well. I love her character. I think she's really interesting. Her relationship with Patel's character is a stretched one and really interesting, and I love how they play off each other. I think they have great chemistry with each other, and it really helps propel the film when the narrative isn't at its strongest. Speaking of the narrative, I really enjoy the premise of this film. I think it's an interesting premise. Now, it is a premise that we have seen countless times before. This isn't anything new about waking up and nobody remembers something. We've seen this done before, but having it be the Beatles is a little interesting just because of how ingrained in our culture the Beatles is, and it's something that's really interesting that sadly they don't touch on that much. I think you really could have had something really interesting with the whole idea that the Beatles not being around just changes music entirely, and that's really not the case here. Kind of the world is exactly the same without the Beatles, and I really wish that they had done something there. That's one of my disappointments with the film, but overall, I like the story enough, and the actors really do propel it along. Also, something I really wish that they had added into the film early on in the first act, before everything really gets started, is how important the Beatles is to the characters as well as the world at large, and they don't really do that. So when it turns out that nobody remembers the Beatles, it feels kind of random because we really didn't set up the Beatles' music that well in the film prior to this. However, I can say that it's not a huge problem that I have with the film, but it's just a little minor complaint. Now, this might be a little bit of a small spoiler, but later on in the film it is revealed that there are a couple of people that do remember the Beatles, and they meet Patel's character, and This was something that I thought could be really interesting, and I was really waiting for this scene to happen. And when it happened, it's a very well done scene, and the dialogue between these characters is really good. And it's a really heartfelt scene. However, I think they could have done so much more with it. And really, that's my biggest complaint with the film is they didn't take the premise as far as it could have gone, and you kind of lose the entire point of the movie in that respect. Also, the comedy for this film really doesn't work for me that much. It's very hit or miss. However, there are a couple of jokes in this film that really do land for me, such as with Patel's character when he figures out that, like, nobody remembers the Beatles. So he types up online, he types up Beatles, and it shows him a picture of a actual beetle. Or nobody remembers cigarettes. Or nobody remembers Harry Potter. And it's little stuff like that that I find really kind of fun, and it's really enjoyable and got a little chuckle out of me. However, the comedy is not this movie's strongest part of it. And also, the directing of this film is it's good. However, there are some missteps in the film. There's some weird stuff going on later on in the film where we're seeing, like, words put on the screen of, like, places that our main character is going to, and it feels really out of place because we didn't see any of that earlier on in the film, and it just feels kind of random at this point in the film and kind of distracting. Also, there are moments in the film where Danny Boyle does Dutch angles, and they're only for a split second, and they're constantly throughout the film, and they feel just kind of random and not well suited for the scene. You don't really understand why they're there. I don't know the purpose of them. It's just a little bit of distraction here and there. However, I still think this is a really enjoyable film that is propelled by two really good actors and really good performances from them. I love the characters in this film. I think the movie is just a lot of fun. I love the music. Of course, the Beatles music is going to be great, and the arrangements of them are really good, and it feels heartfelt. There's a lot of heart to the film, and it's really enjoyable. I just wish that it really stuck with this premise and did something more with it. Anyway, with all that said, I'm going to give Yesterday a 7 out of 10. Well, guys, I want to thank you for watching this review, and I say you should check out this movie. It's a much smaller film than a lot of the movies coming out this summer, and I think it's something that people should sit down and see. It's a lot of fun. I think you guys will enjoy it. But anyway, guys, with all that said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.